Hey guys, what is up? It is me, Pagey, here once again with another video on The Flash Season 7. So we of course had DC Fandom around a week ago, which showcased some of the upcoming DC cinematic stuff that is coming over the next year or two. And we of course got two TV panels in the form of Titans, as well as of course The Flash. Now these panels were only 15 minutes apiece each roughly, and that is just due to timing for the event. They weren't, I think, gonna be there, but they moved them because they're the most popular shows. Now, originally, the weekend that just went past was going to be much bigger, but that was changed around just to the fact there was just too much content to experience in a healthy manner over a 24-hour window if you were a DC fan over multiple mediums. So on September 12th, we'll get the other half, which will have extended versions of both the Flash and Titans panels, as well as panels for the other DC TV shows, except Supergirl for some reason, as well as comics and some other stuff. But in this video, we're going to go over something interesting that was confirmed in the panel that we got, like the condensed panel, but not really made too big of a deal of, which I honestly found like quite surprising. And even online, a lot of people weren't even saying, hey, they confirmed that. But of course, throughout the video, it would be awesome if you let me know your various opinions in the comment section down below. What do you think of this reveal? Do you have any theories as to where it could go? Anything like that? I'm curious to hear what you guys have to say. Also, do you just like it or hate it? That's also a very, I think, a thing that people have opinions on as well. And of course, if you're going to enjoy the video, it would be awesome if you could drop a like on it to show support for the channel and the video. So while the Flash Season 7 panel at DC Fandom last weekend was a shortened version of the one we will be getting in around 2 weeks from now on September 12th, that version of course being about 40 minutes, there was still a decent amount revealed through both the trailer that I'm sure most of us have seen by now, as well as through some standard questions and answers you would expect to get in this type of panel. Now, it was pretty obvious that some questions asked in this edited down version of the Flash panel were connected to portions of the panel that were cut to make it 15 minutes, just overall. So stuff early in the panel that was cut out related to the question that was brought up and then answered. Now, one of these questions had to do with the choice to bring Godspeed in as a main villain for Season 7 of The Flash. So we should assume that earlier in the panel that is revealed by the showrunner Eric Wallace that Godspeed is in fact a main villain and or threat for the first part of Season 7. But here is Eric Wallace's reasoning as to why they decided to focus in on Godspeed over another character. I want to make sure new fans, especially young fans who are reading the comic books right now, are welcome to the show. So it's not just Silver Age villains and Bronze Age villains. There might be a young girl or a young boy who's reading those Flash comics right now going, where's my villain? My generation's villain. Now up to Season 5, the show really mainly used and almost like only used Silver Age villains of the Flash, with like 1 or 2 Golden or Modern Age villains chucked in here and there. Like, I think in total, if you put together Golden and Modern Age, is like 5 or 6, and the rest is Silver Age. But the vast majority, came from the Silver Age era, which makes sense as they are still the main ones that recur today in the comics. Just like the classic era where a lot of stuff was born from, especially because Barry Allen is the Flash, and that was Barry Allen's era. But in Season 6, we saw a pretty big swing in things when Bloodwork was made the first half villain for Team Flash, as he was a villain and threat from the recent iteration of DC Comics in their Rebirth era. So Bloodwork as a character was only like, 3 or so years old, if not less, when the character was brought into live action. So I think at this point, it didn't seem like much of like an assumption to say that there would be a bigger Rebirth influence on seasons going forward, or at least in the next couple of seasons, and just like modern Flash comics in general having an influence on the show than we'd had before. Now, there has been a lot of talk, and I would probably say worry amongst people, especially those that have read the comics and like Godspeed, that the show is labeling Godspeed as a villain. Now, that might surprise some of you watching if you don't read the comics, have no idea about them. You're probably going like, wait, what? Like, Godspeed isn't a villain? What the hell? And yeah, for the most part, that is true. In the comics, Godspeed starts as a villain, like a villainous threat for Barry, as well as the rest of Central City that are targets for Godspeed. But for the majority of his career, if you want to call it, or run in the comics, he has been an ally to Barry and Team Flash, sliding more into that anti-hero side if you want to like specifically place him somewhere. I wouldn't call him a full-out hero because of what he's done, but I definitely think he falls into that anti-hero sort of area. Now, is there a chance they just make Godspeed a flat-out villain for his entire run on the show until he is defeated or killed off? Well, yeah, there is a good chance that could be the case. I'm not going to say no. I think I'd be a bit naive to say it wouldn't. However, Godspeed's change is a big part of his story in the comics, so I think if you were going to use him in this season, you would also tap into that other side of the story outside of his villainous time against the Flash. Now, mainly due to how Season 7 will have less episodes due to COVID, I don't think we will get the full potential of what they would like to do with his change in heart, and then later team up with Team Flash, and just how they did it in the comics, because there was more time to do it. But you would think we would see some sort of take on that, whether it's rush or they just take out certain elements. I don't know what they're going to do, but I'd assume we'd see some take on it, hopefully. As you would know, Godspeed isn't my favorite character in the comics, but I understand people do like him, regardless of what my thoughts are. I know everyone's not going to agree with me. So due to that, I would want to see him done properly in what was done in the comics, and, well, with some respect based off that, because I know people do like the character. Now, with Godspeed set to be, you know, the villain or threat for the first half, or the first graphic novel of Season 7, as Eric Wallace would say, where should we expect this to go in the back half of Season 7? Like, who is this second half or second graphic novel villain for the Flash Season 7? Now, I do expect them to go Rebirth again. I could be completely wrong on that, but Blackhole is just a rebirth-focused threat at the moment. It's still playing a part at the moment on the show, of course. Godspeed is the focus of the first half, so I think this would lead into another rebirth threat for the back half. Now, do let me know who you think the villain could be in the comments, whether it's that you agree with what I'm about to say right now, or you think it's going to go somewhere else. But Eric Wallace has teased that speedsters would play a big part in Season 7, and specifically speedster mythology, which you could take in many different ways. Now, in the comics, Gorilla Grodd, funnily enough, is like the top dog, or top ape, should we say. Yep, you can leave the video now if that was a really bad joke. Anyway, he's the top of Blackhole, but he's using a character known as Rajin or Rajin. I should take that last one. That sounded bad. Anyway, he's using that character alongside him, who we will come back to in a second. Now, Blackhole did a lot in the comics, which I cannot see them doing at all on the show. Like, even just how we were introduced to them in Season 6 was a bit different, but I didn't mind how they used them, even though it wasn't as much as I would like them to have used them, but we might see more of that in Season 7. But I would like to think that potentially they are the ones responsible for the Godspeed clones that have been showing up in Central City throughout the entirety of Season 6, whether it was Episode 1 or Episode 18, I think it was. Whether that be they just simply cloning him, or they are in possession of the real Godspeed who is set to show up this season, and they have been cloning him specifically. So, you know, before they could have just been like, had like some DNA of him, and they were using that to clone and go around and do some certain things, or they have the real one locked up in like some sort of like speedster-proof cage, and they're making clones of him through that means. If they are responsible for potentially torturing Godspeed or just simply doing him wrong, then it would be seen as highly likely that Godspeed could team up with Team Flash, and specifically Barry, in the back half of the season in order to help them, or help the team take down the person or persons responsible for terrible actions against himself, as well as just trying to, you know, mess up Central City. In regards to who could be like the main face of Blackhole and responsible for all of this, it could be Grodd. But based off what we've seen earlier, I don't know if that'd be the case, but who knows. But that would just be expensive in general, like CGI-wise, to do. So I could see the show doing a take on Rajin, seeing for a good amount of time. He was thought to be the leader of what was going on with Blackhole and what had happened to Central City previously. Now, as you can see, he looks a lot like Savitar, so they would probably change that design up. But I think he is the best choice for a second half threat if the show follows on with the Blackhole stuff and makes the villain somewhat connected to Godspeed in some way. Rajin isn't technically a speedster, but he has these powers that allow him to like travel through like lightning that he throws, which makes him actually sort of faster than the Flash in certain cases. So if they did have to have like a Rajin versus even Flash and Godspeed fight, it would work, and it would still be a very, very close, if not hard battle for the speedsters in Flash and Godspeed to take on. Now, in regards to Godspeed specifically, as I'm sure most of you would remember, in Season 5 we had a face for Godspeed. We saw August Hart. Now, I think the big question around this is, like, as we know Godspeed's going to be there, do they recast him? Are we going to see who's under the mask a lot? If not, then I don't think they would have to recast. They could probably keep the same actor. But I think the guy that played him was just sort of like an extra actor. Like, no offense to the guy that played him, I don't think he does a lot of line reading. And I don't know if this would be like a big step up in regards to what he'd done before. So I don't know if they recast him or keep the same actor or just retcon that Season 5 appearance as a whole. Or maybe they make it that, like, that character we saw in Season 5 was August Hart Jr. and August Hart Sr. is the one that becomes him in the Flash Season 7 in modern day, and then it's a different actor. It'll be interesting to see what they do. I'd be surprised if they kept the same actor, but they could, especially if it's not a big maskless role of that, if you know what I mean. Like if Godspeed has the mask on like 95% of the time, then they probably just keep the same actor. But if it is going to be one of those like zoom or reverse flash type things where the mask is on like half the time, especially when he's interacting with Barry and co, then they might recast, but that's for us to wait and find out. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much all to go over. I'm interested to see if there's any more details revealed at Fandom in about 2 weeks' time in regards to this, and maybe even what's coming on later in the season. But it will be interesting just to see where they go as a whole this season and what they do in the back half as well. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, it'd be awesome if you could drop a like and it shows support. Let me know in the comment section down below your various opinions on what we went over. Are you psyched to have Godspeed as the first half villain? Who do you think is going to be the back half one? Do you have any issues with all of this? Let me know in the comment section down below. I'm always open to hearing your opinions. And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. And yeah, I'll catch you guys later. Goodbye.